Yo, what up? Welcome to Arctic View. This is Josie, and today I'm going to talk to you about what I read in July and August. I've been going slow. This hasn't changed, but I did finish some things. And as always, the links to specific books will be down in the description box if you're just interested in one or two books that I read and don't want me yapping on about something you're not interested in. But let's get started. And the first book I want to talk about is Wintergirls. It's by Laurie Halsey Anderson, and this book is about anorexia and its recovery. It talks about a girl who loses her best friend and how she copes with it and how she copes with her eating disorder. I like this better than the one I read a couple of months ago. This is very warm. I feel it's quite a feel-good book in the end, but it also tackles the topic quite seriously. I would say that if you're triggered, then maybe this is not the best book because it does talk about numbers at one point, but other than that, I found the style very good. And yes, I will be donating this to my school library because I feel like people need to read more about this topic. Now, the second book I read, I don't have it with me because I read it as an ebook. And let me see, it was Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey Quinton. This book is highly recommended, but I have to say I struggled a lot trying to get through this because it's a very tropey book. If you read fan fiction, then I guess you have seen this trope being done like at least a couple of 100 times. I feel like I have read it tens of times. It is good, but it is, in my opinion, nothing special. I kind of feel like, ooh, that I paid for it. If you don't know, it's the son of the President of the United States and the son of the grandson of the Queen of England meet, fall in love, and what happens if the world finds out. I'm very interested in reading her second book, which is about women, because I feel like that topic still doesn't get enough recognition or get as many books as the gay spear gets. So excited about that one. I know it's already out. Now the third book is A Tower Without a Clock or a Bell, and it's by Paul Raud. It's in Estonian, Kellata, and it's a very interesting book. It's his first book. He's like 21 years old, and this book is weird. If you read books about magical realism or kind of like dreamscapes, I feel like it kind of reminds me how Italo Calvino writes some of his books. It starts with a story, but by the end of it, the story kind of gets lost. Like the main idea where it starts, this young boy looking for his friend Bruno kind of disappears. So Nicholas is trying to find Bruno. He starts in their old school, then it moves to an opera house, then to a manor, then to a crazy ride on a horse to a cemetery, to a cottage in the woods, and then they end up in an office building of all of the places. And every time the scene gets more weirder and more dreamlike when you see that things that make sense and things that don't make sense are taking place during the scene that is described. And with every story, it feels more like a dream. At first, it feels very recognizable, and if you live in Estonia, I feel like you will recognize a lot of the places or schools or just small tidbits, so that was very interesting for me. But by the end, you're there for the ride. I feel like it was not the perfect book, but I still enjoyed reading it. I would say that next time maybe I would like a little less descriptions, because this is very description heavy. But if you like this kind of thing, like if you want to just immerse yourself in descriptions that go so detailed and give you backstory, like 3-4 backstories within one sentence, then this is a go. I'm very interested to see what he does next. And yeah, I read a fiction book. I don't usually do it, yeah. Now, something else completely different that I read was Kainus. It's also in Estonian. It's basically Sobriety. And it's by Kaja Heinsalu and Neeme Raud. And when this book came out, they had like a big article about it in our national broadcasting station's website, because Neeme Raud is a journalist, and this topic touches him because he was an addict, he was an alcoholic, and so was Kaja Heinsalu, but she's the one who is doing the therapy. The description sounded really interesting for me about what is sobriety, what is addiction to alcohol, because in Estonia, and I feel like in a lot of other countries, they say that we have a wet culture, which means that alcohol goes with everything. It goes, somebody dies, you drink alcohol, somebody's birthday, you drink alcohol, you have success at work, alcohol, you go to a party, alcohol, somebody births a child, you celebrate it with, well, not the mother, but everybody else celebrates it with alcohol, weddings, alcohol, etc., etc. And this book tells how 10% of the population are the ones who will get addicted to it. And it's done in a very interesting way, that it's basically an interview or conversations between these two people. And it offers a really interesting look into the addiction. One thing that they say here is that only an alcoholic understands another alcoholic. So if you don't have the addiction, it's very hard to understand why people do what they do. And I feel like this book gives you a good insight into it. If you have a friend or a family member, somebody from work who struggles with this, and you want to be there for them, I feel like this book will help you, maybe help them. But yes, very fascinating read, nothing like I have read before, and quite sobering experience. Anyway, and we're just continuing with books getting weirder, I guess. And the last book I read was Fundamentalism, The Search for Meaning, and it's by Malise Ruthven. And this book came out in, I think, 2001. I got it from Kent, from a used bookstore, and it has obviously been a recommended reading for some of their classes, because there have been two people underlining passages. What this talks about is fundamentalism in Christianity, Islam, then Judaism, and it touches slightly on Hinduism and Buddhism, but very slightly. It does concentrate a lot on Christianity and Islam. And what I found really interesting about this was that it talks about things that I had no idea about, because I think for me and a lot of other people, the war against terrorism, against fundamentalism started after the 9/11 attacks. But here, this book comes out like slightly after the attacks, so it's mentioned here, but it looks to what happened in the 90s, what happened in the 80s, in Middle East, attacks against different embassies and things like that. I had no idea there's such a long history of it, and everybody seems to have just forgotten about it. I found it really good that it really doesn't sugarcoat anything. There is no bias towards one or the other religion. It's very academic. Well, not like super academic. It doesn't have like tons of footnotes, but it is quite hard to read. So if you are interested in it and you're not a and you're a casual reader, then maybe not. Don't start with this. Start with something else. But if you want to like exercise your brain and see what happened in the 90s and 80s and well, up to 70s, then this is definitely the book. And it looks into like longer underlying reasons, not just what happened, but why did it happen? What is inside these faiths, or inside these fractions, and how they interpret the faith to make them do what they do. Liked it, and I feel like this is something that needs to go back to the used bookstore for people to like read it and keep it in the circulation. Now, these were the 5 books I read. It's not a lot, I know. I'm already reading my September's book, which is Simon Snow and his adventures, which is fun. And where's my... These were the books I read in July and August. Not a lot, but I am happy that I got to finish them. And I want to say to everybody watching that it's okay if you only read 1 book in 2 months, or if you read 2 books in a year. It really exercises your brain. It lets your imagination fly. You get so many new ideas that, yeah, don't feel discouraged, because I felt discouraged, but now I feel better again, because these were a nice selection of books from very different fields. Yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Keep safe, get vaccinated if you haven't already, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Bye!